What is up YouTube? And today we're talking about the new unit that is coming out on the 20th of June, so in about 3 days after this video is released. And as you guys can see, the animation for this guy is amazing. It is Immortal Wukong. He is an Earth Warrior, and you're gonna see he is pretty good. Now, his skills are great, but what's even better is his design. It actually looks amazing. Probably one of my most favorite units that actually is going to be released in terms of design. He literally looks insane. He's going to be a pretty cool unit. I think he is one of the coolest male units or husbandos that we have in Epic 7. There's not really that many cool ones, to be honest, compared to waifus. But anyways, let's look at his stats and his skills so we can actually see how he will be. So you can see as an Earth Warrior, he is pretty bulky and he has pretty high attack, like very high attack for a warrior, which is very nice. And you're going to see that it will complement his skills very, very nicely. He has imprint concentration of attack, right? He has very high attack and he has very high health as well, which is going to be very good. Now, his S2 is going to be a 50% increase in critical hit resistance and penetration resistance. So similar to Landy's passive, except we also get penetration resistance as well, which is very good. As you guys know, in the current meta, right, we have so many units that can penetrate defense. Units even on penetration set can penetrate defense now. And even for PvE content, especially for like Ancient Inheritance and stuff like that, there are a ton of bosses that can penetrate defense. Same with Rift. And because you have this resistance, it'll make it so that he's also going to be extremely, extremely powerful in PvE. I think with this passive, he'll be probably one of the best tanks for PvE in like Rift and also Ancient Inheritance, because he'll just be taking a ton less damage. Also, you're going to see when he actually suffers a non-critical hit, he'll also get a stacking attack and speed buff. That stacks by 20%, up to 60% total because it stacks 3 times. It's going to be very nice because if you put him in the front line, he's going to be getting hit a lot. And in PvE content, he's just going to be getting hit over and over, and this will stack very quickly, which will make him cycle very quick, do more damage, and you'll also see this attack buff will also make him do more damage. And it seems like it'll be pretty good in PvP as well. Honestly, we'll have to test him out, but you're gonna see in the showcase here, he's in the front line against this new Rift boss, and it's gonna be pretty nice because he'll be just tanking, doing a ton of damage with that stacking attack and speed buff, and he'll be super bulky because of that innate resistance to crit and penetration. Next, we have his S3. It's an attack buff for himself, which is very nice. Also attack and stun the enemy for 1 turn, and when your attack is greater than the target's attack, you will actually do extra damage up to 70%, and this will actually be unaffected by elemental disadvantage. So against fire units, you can still hit them pretty easily, which will make him very good against Janua, right? You literally just S3 the Janua and you'll stun him, and basically you'll proc his passive and he's pretty useless, right? So pretty powerful. You're also going to see in PvE most of the time, you're going to have more attack than the boss. You're going to see it's being showcased in Rift once again. The damage on a defense broken hero here. Looks like it has a unique debuff, probably from something that you activate from hitting the boss a few times, because it's like a tentacle and the boss is a kraken. But you're going to see pretty decent damage, nothing too crazy. But I think the biggest thing for his S3 will be for PvP, especially when you decide to bring him into Januas, because like I mentioned, you just S3 the Janua and you are good to go. Next, we have his S1. So swing, single target attack, attacking with Ururi Bang, which is a staff. He'll also get a barrier for 1 turn after you attack, and this barrier will scale with his own attack as well. And when you use this on your own turn, it's AoE, which is pretty insane, and you can actually soul run this for 10 souls. And this is going to be very nice because the barrier scales with his own attack, right? He gets a ton of attack from his passive, right? 60% bonus, which is insane. His base stats are already very high in terms of attack. Even his health is very nice as well, very high. And you have imprint concentration, stacking with attack. And of course, his S3 also gives him an attack buff, which is also going to give him more attack for this barrier. So you can see, it's all stacking very well. Pretty sure his S1 should be hitting pretty hard. The fact that you can actually AoE attack with this is pretty crazy. I'm not too sure if they showcase it. It looks like they do, but okay, they don't show the damage, but that's very interesting. They just show that it's AoE, which is pretty cool. But overall, just in terms of his kit, I think he's going to be a very powerful unit. Obviously for Rift, right, that's where they're showcasing him. Probably will be the best frontline unit for Rift here, so you definitely want him if you plan to farm Rift. Rift is going to be the best source of gear aside from those, side stories that we have. and just Rift is just a very good way to get, you know, sets that you want, because Rift, if you guys didn't know, allows you to choose 3 sets, and you can basically just farm those sets from the boss, right? And it's always going to be epic, which is very nice. But yeah, like I mentioned, he looks like he'll be pretty strong for PvP. You know, AoE S1, which gives him a barrier, kind of reminds me of like Hwayang in a sense, except instead of having a ton of damage, he'll be a lot more bulkier, right? But he does get a ton of attack, a ton of speed, and of course his S3 with that stun will be very nice against Januas, and also just any, you know, unit in general that has low attack, because this damage scaling is going to be pretty crazy, and I do believe it'll hit pretty hard, right? So pretty solid unit. I think it's a unit you definitely want to pull for. His design is amazing. He's going to be useful in PvP against Januas, and honestly might even be pretty strong just in general. And in PvE you can use him right away into the new Rift season, so I definitely think you will want to get him. And I'm pretty sure he's a limited unit, right? I think, let me just check here. If we actually look here, it should say if he's either limited or not. Looks like he's not actually, it's just a drop rate up banner. But might be limited. I'm pretty sure he's not though, right? Because it would say limited drop rate up. But anyways, this is his artifact, Warrior Artifact. Increased crit chance and critical hit resistance. Also very nice because, as you guys know, his passive gives him 50% innate critical hit resistance anyways, and with the artifact you'll go up to 70%, which will make him the same as Navy Captain Landy, and having extra crit chance will make it so that he is even easier to build. Pretty sure this will be very good on him because you want him to actually not get crit, so you can stack his passive right away. On other warriors, I'm not too sure if it'll be that great because we already have so many good warrior artifacts, and you know, crit hit resistance doesn't really do too much for you on other warriors, except for, I guess, Wukong, because you want to activate his stacking passive. But crit hit resistance in general is just too unreliable because it's only 20%, right? So yeah, pretty decent artifact for him. I'm pretty sure if you want to use him, you also want him on his own artifact. I think just one copy is fine, even though the crit chance, right, is very nice. At plus 15, you're getting 18%, and at plus 30, it's 24, so you're only missing out on 6%, which is not too bad. The biggest thing here is going to be that critical hit resistance for him, so you can actually stack his passive over and over. Yeah, like I mentioned, looks like a pretty amazing unit. Looking at his design, right, yeah, it's pretty sick, right? He's just charging in over a city. But yeah, you can see his lobby animation looks pretty nice as well. He'll be available on the 20th of June, and he will be available for, I do believe, it'll be 2 weeks, right? Because he's new. I just kind of want to see how much damage he actually does. So let's actually just like go through this a little bit. You can see that there's a Janua on the enemy side. Yeah, this is a very common defense. You can see Smilegate knows this defense you see on the right here is like probably the most common defense right now, the most like broken defense, honestly, the best defense you can run. Some people run Dragon Bride Senya instead of a Tywin or Blood Moon Haste, but let's just see what he actually does here and skip ahead. So Bride Rotisseria goes, she'll you know, do whatever. Yep. Okay, and let's see what he does on his turn. So does he S1 here or does he S3? So he's gonna S3 here. You'll see he stuns the Janua here to stop his passive from activating. So like I mentioned, very good against Janua. You'll see it'll activate his passive and then it doesn't work. How much damage did that actually do? It is a squishy unit, so it'll probably do a lot. 22k is a lot though. That's a ton of damage, so pretty high damage there. I do believe his passive stacked a bit. This is going to be the dual attack. Defense broken unit, of course, but still. 15k, that's pretty high, even for a defense broken unit. Let's see his S1. Oh yeah, this unit looks pretty insane for PvP as well. Look at this damage, right? That's crazy. So yeah, I think this unit definitely is a must pull. He'll be very good in PvE and PvP, but I'm curious what you guys think. Obviously, he's out in a few days, so we can test him more in detail when he does release, but for now, what are your first impressions of him? I think he's going to be extremely powerful for both PvE and PvP, and I'm definitely going to be pulling for him.